All right, here with Drew Parker, rising star, great 90s country resurgence, which is happening, and you have that sound, which I love. But I wanted to ask you based on our last, yeah, big AJ right there. Our last guest was actually Cody Johnson. And then I looked at your Instagram and you were out on tour with, or not on tour, but you did a few shows with him. We've always said that's one of the best live shows you can ever see. That guy just knows what he's doing up there. What was it like to open for him?
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that and know that I'm not alone. I literally told a few people this, and I will scream this to the mountain. Um, Cody Johnson puts on the best live show I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot of live shows, and I would put his
Wow.
live show up against anybody. I'm not kidding. Like I told my band guys when we got there, like I've seen him before we did 4 weekends with him, and I told my band guys, I said, y'all better go out there and watch his show because there's so much to learn because this
Mm.
guy sets the bar very high. And if that's not where you're striving to be, then you're in the wrong place because he puts on that good of a show.
Wes, remember it had to have been close to 120 with the heat index at
Yeah,
Windy City
smoke out.
Smokeout a few years ago. It was just you're baking, and he wasn't the headliner, but he was opening for close to the headliner, and then but he's still up there with his button up shirt, his starched jeans, just pouring through the shirt sweat, and he's just killing it.
And
It's
just
just like
running around like an animal up there.
Dude,
And
I'll tell you, that's a guy, like, much respect to Luke Combs because that is a guy I would not want to have opening for me because I feel like the crowd would be disappointed after he got off stage.
is that's a great point. Is that not a that's got to be something you guys think? Well, you're a newer artist, but like a guy like Luke Combs, I that's got to be something you think about, whether you outwardly say it or not. Like, do I want to follow that dude? Same thing in comedy or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the goal is to bring out guys that you believe in and that kind of thing. But also, man, but here's the thing: you bring out a guy that you know is better than you. It makes you do your thing a lot better and take more into consideration. But yeah, man, that's not a guy that I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to follow that every night because he brings it
Yeah.
all to the table.
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, as an opener, are you like, man, we got to bring it tonight? Like, is there like a pressure where you know that, like, okay, if I'm opening up for Cody Johnson, we got to like come hard for his
Right.
crowd?
I mean, yeah, for sure. And I have a very high energy show. Like I I, I don't know that I put on a show as good as Cody, but I do exert probably close to the same amount of energy as he does. The fact that he does it for I think his show is like 100 minutes long, so an hour and 40 minutes is insane to me.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the best thing that new artists can understand is what is your role as the support act for the night. My job as the support act on a Cody Johnson show is these guys that are coming in, they haven't drank a beer yet. Okay, like on this run, I was second, so there was an opener and then me and then Cody. But so they had some drinks, but my goal is to get them having more drinks, get them fired up for Cody Johnson. So I think new artists need to understand what their role is as the opening act, and that is to get the crowd fired up for the headline act. And when you learn that very early on and can put on that kind of show, I think it benefits you very well in the long run.
Do you work
Yeah.
some covers in?
Yeah, we do. My first song, we open up the show with All the Beers, which is the first song on the EP. And right in the middle of it, we transition into Boot Scoot and Boogie
Yeah.
for a minute, and then we come back to All the Beers. That's kind of opens the show, and then we'll throw in a '90s country cover, like kind of somewhere in the middle, and then which we're actually working on a medley right now that's going to be
Nice.
that ready. But
Love a good medley.
oh yeah, so we uh we do this a '90s country cover, whatever that may be. Sometimes "Be My Baby Tonight," sometimes "Sold" by John Michael Montgomery, something like that. A lot of energy, and then I send the band off stage, and I do a stripped down acoustic thing with "Miami Miami" by Keith Whitley. So I'm always
Ooh.
doing some doing some throwback cover.
Well, go ahead, Wes.
I was just gonna say I like a good cover, especially a '90s cover from an opener. But I get that there's some artists who are like, damn it, I want them to know my music too. So I think you got to mix it up, and it sounds like you do
Absolutely.
a great job of that. But
Well,
totally agree with bringing the energy to get everyone fired up. Like, there's nothing worse than like a lame opener.
Oh man, we've seen some shows where you're just like, what is going on? I'm not gonna name names, but like, it's just, you can tell when somebody's checked out, like, or doesn't care, and it's pretty shocking. But the '90s stuff, which is funny, because we've talked to a lot of artists about TikTok, because that's like the new thing, right? For a lot of really like for us, it's really annoying to see like people get, not to beat a dead horse here, but some of the like gaming of the system to get on the charts, and then you get a record deal, and it's there you go, like you're good, and the music's not even good. So, but you are one of these guys that just, I think, utilizes it perfectly. It's just you doing like a '90s cover. That's it. There's no like, hey, this, that, oh, look here, there, like you're
No
not
dancing.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that, man. Is because
that's how it's supposed to be used for me.
Because the label wants him to dance.
dude, right. So I had this thought, and it's so funny you bring this up, because I had this thought yesterday. It's like, dude, let's quit following the trends and let's freaking be the trend. And whatever that, like, be yourself and make that be the trend. So I don't care about following a trend, because that's not authentic to me. Like, I'm not a trendy guy. I just want what I do. I want what I do to be a trend. Well, I want what I do to be cool. And that's
right.
And playing the music that I love, because I know that there are fans out there who love the same stuff I do. So if I just throw up a cover of, whatever it is, old Travis Tritt song or whatever it may be, like, there's somebody out there who's going to love it. And, I've never been also, I don't wake up in the morning like, I got to do a TikTok today kind of thing.
People spend like 8 hours on them. Like,
right. It's like, man, when I feel like I want to do something and post it on TikTok, that's when I'm going to do it. And, it's been fun.
My biggest pet peeve now, because I spend more time kind of looking at the comments, you have these like this weird world on TikTok of these artists that like we know a lot of the like very up and coming artists. Obviously, it's kind of like the start of Whiskey Riff, but there's like another world of that kind of artist on TikTok that is not in the like world of like Twitter. Oh, hey, we know this artist. It's like this whole other world of artists that just like gaming it. And they like the comments from fans that like they get these big followings, they'll think these covers are like not like, they'll get like the cover is clearly a cover of like a really popular old song, but then the fans are thinking they don't know that. Like there's the fan on TikTok is not the same fan on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook so it's like, if you sing 90 songs, you're going to have people come by and think it's yours. Like you clearly say Brooks and Dunn or whatever, but the TikTok fan is very confused.
Very. Yeah.
Like they're hearing it on TikTok and they're like, oh, it's like, no, that's a Keith Whitley song.
Dude, where are you putting it? When's this going to be on Spotify?
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's
on Spotify, 1992.
Queen of My Double Wide Trailer by Drew Parker.
It's just an interesting world because we're so involved. TikTok probably the least, but we're so involved in all the social media channels. They all have a unique voice for us, and it's all different. But TikTok is so different. It's so weird. You got some really funny, talented people on there, but it's like you got to sift through recommended for you, and it's like I don't even know what the hell this is sometimes. So it's good to see a guy like you just kind of do your thing and kind of move on.
Yeah, man. Like I don't get all caught up in that stuff, man. I just do what I enjoy to do, and when the people come across it and cover that's just awesome to me, that I can do what I love, and then it just comes across people's phone or whatever, and then they enjoy that.
Yeah.
Searching for it,
Wes, you wrote that like satire piece. Was that Tennessee Whiskey or Cover Me Up? It's kind of the same thing. Like
I did a couple articles that I wrote. I did one with Tennessee Whiskey where it was a video of David Allan Coe, and I was like, I love this guy's cover of Tennessee Whiskey.
Dude, I saw it.
The people that like are like, what the fuck? Like, and then the other people like don't get it. It's just like we just did it on purpose of like.
Well, and then I worked into the article like I think maybe the title of maybe 10 different David Allan Coe albums. So like in there, if you like, if I bolded all the words, you would just see all these David Allan Coe albums. And then people were just like, a few people caught that, but most were like, I'm done with this site. I'm done with Whiskey Riff. And I'm like, I think I'm hurting us. This isn't actually helping us.
Yeah, it's just people, it just goes over people's heads sometimes.
But I did another one too about Jason Isbell and about the great songwriters of our generation. And it was all artists that have covered Jason Isbell. So it was like Rodney Atkins and Morgan both did Cover Me Up. And then Zach Brown did Dress Blues. And then I had Bradley Cooper with The Star Is Born. And I'm like, all Jason Isbell songs. And I'm like, these are like the 4 greatest songwriter. And not to like talk about them poorly, but like, and people were like, what the fuck? Jason Isbell wrote every one of these songs. Who's writing this shit? Like, oh my God.
But then like a guy like Farce the Music or some of those accounts, they get it, they see it, and they're like, ah, that's funny. But you mentioned Randy Travis, and we saw the video too of you meeting him. Also, because we posted this as well. If people don't know, Alan Jackson is probably my all-time favorite, maybe Wes's as well. And he released a killer new album. And before that, he kind of said some stuff about country music. Like he's, he has an opinion. I think he's more talking about radio. I think if he could probably change what he said, he's probably talking about the mainstream radio. And then Randy kind of came out and tweeted, check out these guys. And he named you. That must've been a knock you on your ass moment.
Yeah, man. I mean, that guy, and I honestly don't know how he discovered my music, because he had mentioned, or I had got a note from him through the grapevine, that he was a fan probably 6 months ago when this EP first came out, and he came out to the show and we talked or whatever. So, man, that's been really, really cool, really special for him to appreciate what I do. Because, man, like, I'm not, a lot of people when they talk about my music, they say 90s country resurgence, which I'm super proud of, because that's the kind of music that I've always wanted to make in a sense. But it's not the kind of music that I wake up and go, I'm going to make 90s country music. It's not that. It's just I was so encapsulated with 90s country music. That's all I listened to as a kid. It's just what naturally comes out of me when I sit down to write or when I sit down to sing. It's not that I am chasing 90s country music. That's just what comes out of me. So it's cool for him to say that when he's the reason that I sound the way that I do. And so it was really special for him to say that. And man, he surprised us, showed up to a show out in Dallas, and we got to hang out backstage, sing Digging Up Bones and Heroes and Friends. It was really special, man. Really, really cool moment for me.
I feel like he's at Billy Bob's every other weekend. Like you'll see him with Josh Abbott or Cody Jinks or whoever he's hanging out with. And it's kind of awesome to see him just like getting out to live shows and stuff and mixing it up with some of these like younger artists like yourself and kind of passing a torch of sorts.
Yeah, he's been great to me, and look forward to hanging out with him again soon, I hope.
Have you got to name names, but have you ever met some of your heroes and you were let down by the kind of, because I think we met enough people now where we know the answer to this question, but it's like, it's kind of sucks, right? Sometimes, even for us, man, honestly, like there's been moments where we're like, this blows, it's like maybe not our heroes, but in general.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm not going to name a name, but there's a guy I grew up listening to, still a big fan of the music, but very disappointed about some things, and just, I understand that what I do doesn't exist without the fan at all. I mean, dude, honestly, is there country music without a fan? No, there's not. So none of this exists. Whiskey Riff doesn't exist without a fan. Like, the fan is the thing. And I remember this one artist that I'm thinking of.
Maybe after we're recording, you can let us know.
So I've played many shows with this individual, and I saw on their day sheet one day at the show, it said, so their show time was at like, say, 9 p.m. or something. they had a meet and greet on their day sheet from 8:59 p.m. to 9 p.m. and their start time was 9 p.m. I'm like, a meet and greet for 1 minute?
For one person.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, you couldn't show up maybe a few minutes earlier and do that or something?
Yeah, 10 minutes. Like,
Oh, anyway, and that's not the only thing, but yeah, I'm not on that any longer. But yes, man, there are some guys that you kind of it's a little disappointing at times, but and there's some out there, man, that I'm like I want to meet, but then I'm like, well, am I gonna be disappointed if I meet? Really,
right.
kind of avoid it if you can.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but we we had Wade Bowen and Randy Rogers on recently, kind of asked about how George Strait kind of seems like mythical. Like he kind of like, you don't know where, like he just like, he like doesn't do stuff, but then he is like on a golf course and then he is like slinging tequila at the golf course or whatever. But they were like saying how like generous he was and like doesn't care about the camera. That's always my thing. It's like, I like when people do nice things for people, whether it's charity or whatever, which he does a lot of, but they don't necessarily care about having cameras there or whatever.
No
it's just like, do it and that's it. Like you're not doing it for press.
Yeah, for sure.
But Luke Combs, obviously you guys are really good buddies now. Right. You've written with him. How did that friendship kind of blossom, or did it start more as like, hey, let's write together? I think I read, and then it turned into a really close friendship, or kind of, and seeing him, like his trajectory for his career is pretty much unheard of in the history of when you talk about like the success he's had with his songs. How did that whole Luke and Drew Parker thing come together?
Yeah, so this all started 6.5 years ago. There's a promoter in Athens, Georgia, named Bradley Jordan. You may have heard of him before, but he was kind of booking up and coming talent out of Nashville, and he would find like a local guy to come and open the show, kind of thing. That someone local that he believed in, kind of thing. Well, I was his local guy for a minute, and he booked Luke Combs in Rome, Georgia, 6.5 years ago. Put me on to open the show. We're hanging out in the green room. We immediately hit it off. We hit it off over Keith Whitley. We're both huge Keith Whitley fans. And we just started talking about that, had the same interests, had the same goals, wanted to create the same music, man. Like, wanted to bring back what we do, you know what I mean? And so he was living in Nashville. I wasn't at the time. And he invited me to come up. He's the first person that ever invited me to Nashville to come write songs. And so for the next 9 months, I drove back and forth every 2 weeks from Georgia to Nashville to write songs with him, Lainey Wilson, Ray Fulcher, like friends that he had made and introduced me to. And so I did that for 9 months. In that 9 month span, we wrote a song called Lonely One that he ended up putting on his first record.
By the way, that's one of my favorite songs off that record.
Oh, thanks, man.
I just found out today that you wrote it, but
I appreciate it. So I had that song, and then I moved to Nashville, and that song, I think, being on that record with a mainstream artist kind of is what helped me get a publishing deal, because I'd never had a cut before. I had written songs, but yeah, we just kept writing and we just became buddies. Like, we wanted to do the same thing, and just we wanted to write songs that we also wanted to listen to. And I don't think, I've been asked, did I think he was a star at the time? I have no idea, because I didn't know what it took to be a star at the time. I had just moved to Nashville, but for me, watching what happened to him, it's like, oh, okay, well, this just happens for everybody. They just get a big song and then they become a superstar, right? And so I learned, I don't know, it was weird that the one guy that I was super close to, and the first guy that I watched go from kind of nothing or whatever to being a superstar was him, and I was super close to that camp. And so I got my mindset on how this town works was totally ass backwards.
I could see that. Yeah, the vast majority, we've tweeted a few things about established artists, like, oh, what happened to so-and-so? What happened to so-and-so? But even like the artists that, if we go back since the start of Whiskey Riff, some of the people we've met or talked to, you're like, oh, they don't even make music anymore. You know, it's crazy. It's like, it's so hard. It's like sports, I guess, in some ways. Like very few people are going to make it to the big leagues and be successful. Right. But we're all probably like similar age. So like we all grew up on the same type of music. I think I appreciated Luke, his honesty. He said stuff about like, I'm not going to lie to you and say I grew up listening to Merle Haggard. I didn't. That's the same thing like Wes and I like kind of connected to with. Now as we got older, we really appreciate those legends. But growing up as a 90s kid, like you listen to that style of music, and then Luke Combs is honest about that. But then just he's a guy, like a regular dude. There's no script he's reading from. There's no like, I mean, we met so many people where it's just like so robotic. And he just seems like a guy's guy.
If there's one thing that I've learned from Luke Combs more than anything, and it's something that my parents taught me early on when I moved to town. It's like, don't forget where you come from and just be yourself. Like in anything you do, be yourself. And so I've always known that and learned that, but watching Luke Combs be that guy,
watching it play out,
who is so authentic and so genuine, knows who he is and expresses who he is in a very great way. I mean, that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned from him is like, don't ever stray from who you are. Like, dude, like, okay, I'll freaking bring this up. So when the whole like Confederate flag thing come out about
I was going to ask about, people are coming after him because of his success.
Right. Okay. Well, I knew that like that was probably hard on him, right? So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, buddy, man, I know like all this shit's being talked about you on the internet. Like, dude, don't let this bother you, whatever." And his response back to me, I freaking remember him exactly saying this. He was like, "Man, just know that you coming up, you're gonna maybe not the same thing, but like you're gonna have pressure of these kind of things of like people trying to just get under your skin or whatever." He was like, as long as you know who you are on the inside and you surround yourself with people who know who you are on the inside, nothing else matters. He was like, let them do what they do. He was like, I can go to sleep at night knowing that how I feel in my heart. And he was like, that's the only thing that you can control. And when he said that to me, that is the reason that Luke Combs is as big as he is, because everybody knows that is the kind of guy that Luke Combs is.
Well, it's absolutely. I mean, this kind of goes for other artists as well that have blown up, but you always get the sellout comment, right? So it's like he blows up. He's like, what did he do to sell out? Like he just got more. He got more fame. He got, his music resonated so much that he got more famous.
Yeah,
it's not selling out.
Right.
Like it's just like it's what happens.
I've never understood
when you're good.
Yeah, when you're good, you're eventually a sellout.
Yeah, I've never understood the reasoning behind people saying that. Are they?
They're like bitter that I think fans sometimes get bitter that like they feel like they're in at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when something happens big and then he's taking a photo with Luke Bryan at American Idol, they're like, fuck this. Like,
yeah, they like being the first person that was like, oh, I listened to Luke before Hurricane,
Right.
I listened to Luke when Can I Get an Outlaw was a song, like I bought that EP.
We get that comment, and like, so like nobody, like Zach Bryan, like up and coming stud, we posted more articles on his music than anybody to this day. But like, I remember like we'll post something and we'll get a comment like, oh, wow, now that it's cool, you guys are late to the game. We're like, wait a minute, motherfucker. And then we show him all the other links that we shared before. They're like, oh, my bad. So people just like talk shit without actually like, before I talk shit, let me go to whiskeyriff.com, hit the search button, type in Zach. No, nobody does that.
Come on, Steve. You're asking people to do research? Nobody give a crap, dude, man. People create their own whatever. They create their own research.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, come on.
They don't even read the art. Oh, that's my favorite one is people don't even read like.
No, not at all.
People don't even, they see the title, they see the image, and then they just comment. And you're like, did you read it? No.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, not at all. Like
it's like the most frustrating thing. And then the fans on Twitter, you're not too active on social media, good for you. But like Twitter has its own fucking mess. Instagram is my favorite because it's just for me more just like fun. And then Facebook is just like it's just like a cesspool.
Dude, Facebook, like during the pandemic, I didn't get on there for months because it made me sick.
Political division, this, that.
Dude, and these are like people that I grew up loving, and I'm like,
you're preaching to the choir.
Man, dude, just freaking shut your mouth. You know?
Right.
It's like, dude, world, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love social media and I love being able to have that interaction with my fans like that close.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this world would, man.
Everybody's an expert, right? Oh, I went to high school. Like, cool, man. Like, you lay hardwood floors. You're not an expert on the global economic tax fucking like. You know what I mean? Everybody becomes an. I'm like, you're an expert on hardwood floors.
When did you become a foreign policy expert?
It's like
I went to high school with you, man. You shit your pants when you were a senior.
Like, and then, but everybody's got a fucking. I know this, I know that, and
it's like when did for one, I think everyone has the right to have an opinion, right? Everybody has the right to have an opinion. But like your opinion doesn't mean that you're right. It's just an opinion.
Opinion and fact have gotten too blended.
Very convoluted.
My opinion is that Keith Whitley is the greatest country singer that's ever walked the planet. You know, like that is my opinion.
You're saying greatest country singer, not greatest country artist.
Greatest country singer. Yeah.
Yep. I think a lot of people probably do agree with that, and I probably might agree with that. But yeah, you're gonna get people if you just tweeted that or just posted it on your Facebook, the comments would just be all over the place.
Right. It's like, no, it's not. It's George Strait. No, it's George Jones.
Well, we started kind of digging in that with the George thing because George and Alan are our two main guys we kind of go to for like guys we grew up listening to, but they just still, for whatever reason, they still have a real big draw with people like younger these days. Like the cool factor is still there with like older stuff. But you even throw that out there, which we did just to piss people off recently. We're like Alan Jackson or George Strait. And all of the people that pick Alan Jackson talk shit about George Strait not writing his own songs. And then it's like the other side picks on something else. So it becomes this like, you're always going to have that. I assume it's the same in like hip hop and other genres. But we're in country music, so all I know is, you know, this genre, like it's like sports. Like the fans get crazy. Pop music's the same.
But then you'll get the comments that are like, well, what about Merle Haggard? It's like, that wasn't the question. Focus.
Oh, I love that. What about insert name?
Like we'll make a meme with like Tyler Childers and Cody Jinks, and all the comments will be like, what about Coulter Wall? It's like, I could only put two people in the meme, dude. Right. Like, I would love to include 40 artists in every meme I do, but that's not how meme works.
Yeah, I mean, it is the same though. Pop music's insane because we've done stuff where we got attacked by the Jonas Brothers fans. Oh, and I know in the rap community, there's like all different styles of rap music. So then the like fans get like, no, this like Snoop Dogg when he talked about like the new style of rapping a few years ago went viral, and pop music or whoever. It's like, man, Jonas Brothers. Wes just said Coors Light. That ad, whatever that was.
They did a Coors Light ad, and I was like, are their fans old enough to drink Coors Light? And then all their fans were like, the Jonas Brothers have been around for 10 years. I'm 30 years old. And I'm like, okay, it was a joke. Like, fucking relax.
Well, dude,
I was just like
I co-wrote Forever After All, the Luke Combs song.
Great
dude,
song.
I don't know if y'all saw what was going on when that came out, but like the Ariana Grande fan.
Yeah, I wrote about it.
Yeah, Wes did.
Same thing, dude. It's like, dude.
Wait, what was that? What happened?
If you go to like his like her fans were like, they went on like the iTunes store. You know how you can like star, dude. So many of her fans like one starred that thing, one starred Forever After All, and so the song on like iTunes I think may have 1 star.
Wait, but can you refresh my memory, Wes? Why?
Because it was charting #1, right?
Oh, and she released something the same day.
Yeah, they both released. He released Forever After All. She released something else the same day, and he was going for the first country artist in so long to be #1 Billboard, something. I can't remember the thing,
Yeah.
but her fans were like, nope, not happening. And they won. But
when it was all these tweets were like, who the fuck is Luke Combs? Who the fuck is Luke Combs? Like they get so pissed off. They're like, who is this? Who is this that is encroaching on Ariana's space?
Right. It's absolutely the fandom, man. It's like we met fans, like just regular people throughout the years of like Joe's Bar, wherever we've been. And, you know, 5, 6, 7 years later, we look back and I'm like, I understand. I'm a huge fan of country music, obviously. And so, but I'm like, I look at some of these people, I'm like, you're 35 years old and you're still like talking shit on social media. You got a wife and kids at home, man. Like, you gotta bring this shit. You gotta just enjoy the music and have a good ear and like what you like. But you're gonna waste your time on like being that creepy fan.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's also be honest. Let's also understand this, that these guys don't have near enough balls to say anything they say in person.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we know that too. Like it's just
totally.
We've had people that talk shit on Twitter and then we meet them at a bar. They're like, oh, you know, we're just you know, you want to drink? It's just like, and everything shakes hands. It's like, what?
I remember this guy shitting on us nonstop for like years. And I met him at a bar once. And I'm like, don't you think all this time you spend on social media would be better served promoting the artists you like instead of shit? Because he was super staunch traditionalist. Like maybe tweet more and comment more about how great, you know, Coulter Wall or Cody Jinks is instead of shitting on other artists. And I think that would benefit both the other artists that you like and other people around you. He's like, I never thought of that. That's what he said to me.
That's hilarious.
It's exactly words. I never thought of that.
It's very tribal. The tribalism with like fandom. It's so similar to sports. Kind of how we approach this whole thing at the start. It's fans are so passionate about the music that they're gonna get. I mean, like you look at like an Eric Church, hell, like all the controversy with Morgan Wallen, and then what they did for his album. Like you see it. Like it doesn't matter who it is if somebody has a lot of fans, without necessarily communicating together, they somehow have this like sixth sense to kind of just like support whoever that is. What Eric Church, like the whole thing back in the past with, you know, Rascal Flatts, and like that kind of built his thing from that. You know, it's interesting, but it can get exhausting from our standpoint because it's like we're at the point now where you reach people. It's like, okay, if we say this, how are they gonna extrapolate something from that one little tweet? And like, do we want to deal with the like bullshit that comes with it sometimes? I'm sure you see that too. It's like, but
dude, here's the thing, man. It goes back to like what we've said earlier. Like, as long as you're yourself and genuine and about what you say, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
People who care about what your opinion is or what, you know, that thing. So, like, I try to not get caught up in, you know, should I say this or shouldn't I say that? Like, if it's something that's coming from my heart and I feel like I want to say it, and I feel like I should say it, you know, like
that. And my biggest issue with Nashville has always been the amount of how fake it is. Like everybody's so fake. Do you see that? Not everybody. Obviously, you have a good team around you, and
for me, no. I would say for me, no, because I've surrounded myself from the very beginning with.
But you got your head on right. You're not at the TikTok house,
dude. I'm really good at seeing through the bullshit, man. Like thank God that he gave me that gift and that radar, that like I have a really good bullshit meter, and so anything that gives me bullshit vibes, I'm out on, you know.
It's just hard. Some of the people, even the people that run these, whether it's a PR or what, they don't even like the music, and then they're trying to sell you something they don't even care about. It's like, what do you think that's going to do? They don't, you know, whatever. The research isn't there, we talked about, but I don't know. It's interesting. The real quick here, I wanted to ask you about your dog. Is that your dog in the photo? You said you're teasing something for tomorrow, right?
Okay. No, that is not my dog. That is that is an 8-month-old acting dog.
So a music video dog.
We are putting out the music video for While You're Gone tomorrow.
Okay, that's what that was. Because I Wes and I, before you got on, we're like, I can't even listen to the Chris Stapleton Maggie song. I can't finish it, dude. I'm like,
dude,
I just start.
So I put those pictures up yesterday, and Sam Grow, I don't know if y'all know him.
Yeah.
He on there, and somebody else commented. I was like, we can't. You need to warn us if it's a sad dog song. I'm like, not a sad dog song, because I can't, dude. I don't even think I could write a sad dog song because I freaking love my dog.
Yeah, well, Jameson did one too, and we just had him on recently, and we were like, man, like, and then I saw yours, and we thought the same thing. We're like, oh man, he's got a sad dog song.
No,
like,
no sad dog song for me.
Like we had was it the CMA Awards or ACM recently? ACM. Stapleton, didn't he do it with Miranda?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my wife didn't initially pick up on it. I had it on, and I was like kind of side-eyeing her because she turns it off right away. As soon as she hears that song, she can't listen to it. And I was like, boom! As soon as that he gets into the nitty-gritty of that song, I'm just like, oh my god! I look at my dog, and I'm just like, I can't do this. But it's funny because people that hate country music talk about dog songs is like, motherfucker, like go listen to like, good luck making it through that song.
Yeah, for sure. If you have a heart at all, good luck.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw you cover a little Post Malone on the TikTok. Are you a Post Malone fan?
Dude, so growing up, I only listened to country music. Never really got into pop music. I mean, I was like a Akon fan back in the day.
He had some. What are they like? Oh, fuck, what was it?
Locked Up. He did, right? That Locked Up song. What the hell did he have?
He had a lot. He was that guy that was in every song though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Somebody pull up some Akon songs.
But he got in some weird controversy. I remember back in the day with like something in another country. I can't remember.
I think he brought like a 14-year-old girl on stage and got a little too provocative, and that was.
Oh yeah, he was in like Jamaica or something,
in like Barbados or some country like that, one of the islands. But
yeah.
Well, anyway, I like.
Yeah. Anyway,
I loved Akon and T-Pain, like that kind of thing, but never really got into it. But yes, I'm a huge Post Malone fan. I think, dude, and I feel like you could relate him to Luke Combs of what he does.
Yeah.
He is genuine and authentic.
Oh, he seems awesome.
That dude is as real as it gets, man. Like, watching him cover country songs, dude, speaking of, didn't y'all posted April Fool's like he was coming out, dude?
Yeah. We get you.
Oh, you got me for sure. You did.
I think he might though. It's like, why not? Like he's got respect though. And like Sturgill said, he wants to produce it already. It's like
that's sick, dude.
Brad said he loved the cover. He said it was better than his own, which I think he's just being gracious, but still, like it was pretty cool. Like that song choice for me. Like picking those two songs for the Texas thing that McConaughey was doing, like it's like your shit. Like,
but what's truly fascinating is like if we listed all of the like artist specific content for us, it does the best. It's gonna be fairly obvious in terms of whether it's Alan or George or Eric Church or Luke Combs or whatever, like the type of artists that we kind of resonate with the fans. Believe it or not, anything Post Malone is at the top.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird bridge that he creates with traditional fans, like fans that are Sturgill Simpson fans, like love Post Malone, like Luke Combs fans love Post. It's just this weird Wetzel fans. Like they're just like, oh, he's got to do a song with, he just bridges that gap with everything because his music's kind of like depressing at times and like introspective.
I think that's what it is. It's like he's not pop country, but his lyrics are like old school country lyrics.
Yeah.
With doing his thing that he does. Like, I don't know, man. Like he found a lane that only he can do. Mm-hmm. And I freaking love it. I love
and just
it.
The whole like smoke cigarettes, drink a 40. That's all real. Like all the, he moved to Utah. Like he's just like a different guy.
Well, and it's like we've been saying, like authenticity always wins. Always. People are always going to gravitate towards that. That's why Luke Combs is the superstar that he is. Like people just see that and like, oh, this I could drink a beer with this guy. Like that's such like a huge thing. And like I could drink a beer with Drew Parker. I could drink a beer with Luke Combs. Like I could drink a beer with Post Malone.
Right.
You know, like right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like a feeling?
For sure. I mean, dude, I remember one time I was in the airport. I was actually in the airport with Luke Combs, and this would have been probably 3.5 years ago. So Luke was like on his thing, but not
Quite. Yeah.
And I remember Luke going, and I didn't know who Post Malone was at the time, 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. Anyway, Luke like hits me. He's like, dude, there's Post Malone right there. And dude, he had this freaking entourage around him.
The army.
Like, holy shit. What is I had never in my life seen that big of a star like in a very public place like the airport with that many. I mean, he had so many people around him, like walking with him through the airport. It was insane.
Just like regular, not like security, but like buddies.
If it had been like 2 years later, like Luke would have probably known him at the time, and we could have gone and said hi or something. But at the time, me and Luke are just like kind of watching what was going on. Like, this is insane.
Me and Steve were flying out of Nashville once, and we saw Vince Gill at the airport, just like hanging out with everybody. And there was a line of moms, like 15 moms deep, just waiting to like, and the most gracious guy I've ever seen in my life. Just, oh yeah, like talking with everybody, and just, hey, oh, nice to meet you. Oh, Deborah, nice to meet you. Oh, Barbara, like, you know, all the moms.
Who's that?
Vince Gill. The time we saw him at the airport.
I don't know if I've ever been such a pussy and not just going up to him.
Right.
But I love being around people, like chatting and all. That's why it's been so hard this last year plus. But that was one moment where I was like, what? We were hungover, tired. We felt like shit. So it's like.
He had a line of moms 40 deep.
But had we seen that coming into Nashville, drunk at 8 a.m. on an airplane, different story. I would have went right up to him.
Right.
But
right. Absolutely.
I was like, God damn it. You know, after the fact.
Right. And he's
like, what are you going to do? Sit next to him in the airport and take a selfie? Like, I don't, what?
I could dance for TikTok or something.
Like, one more last chance, man. Like, great song, huh? That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Dude, the first time I saw Chris Stapleton, this was like 7 years ago. I seen him at Georgia Theater in Athens, Georgia. There was maybe 300 people there.
Oh, we have a similar story.
And Chris Stapleton covered One More Last Chance. And I was like, this is incredible.
That should have stuck in his set list because I don't think I've ever seen that on YouTube. We dug up a lot of amazing old school Stapleton videos, but I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. Dude, you remember when the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was a thing?
Yeah.
So I was probably, I don't know, 20 or so, still living at home. And
wait, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Was it that long ago?
Right? I was like, shit, you must be younger than us.
No. Maybe I was 20.
No. We posted about it, so it's got to be within the last like 5 years, I think.
Well, okay. Well, this happened when I was still living at home, and I've been in there 6 years, so that's why.
Okay, all right. Oh, we're there.
That sounds about right. Okay.
Sorry.
Maybe 6-7 years ago. So anyway, I was on top of I was shouting Chris Stapleton from the mountaintops. Like, I was his biggest fan at this time period. Still a huge fan. But I was shouting Chris Stapleton from the mountaintops. So when that thing came out, I was like, I don't know. I'll challenge Chris Stapleton to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And dude, that son of a bitch did it.
He did it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did. There's a video on YouTube of him saying, I was challenged to do this by somebody and Drew Parker. And he freaking poured a bucket of ice on his head.
So that was before the Justin Timberlake stuff, or no? When he became this like.
Yes, this was CMA Awards when he became superstar.
Well, it was crazy how he was such like everybody in Nashville, everybody in country music was like, this guy is the real deal, every sense of the word. Great songwriter, phenomenal vocalist. Like, and then all of a sudden it took Justin Timberlake playing with him at the CMA Awards for people to be like, who the hell is this? And then country music was like, we've been telling you guys for years. What the hell?
Some of country music's been telling us.
Right. Yeah. Some.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, that's got to be annoying. And then the stuff that kind of came from it with the copycat game, which you always see when an artist blows up. The Sam Hunt happened with him, happened with Stapleton, happened with Luke Combs. Literally, people trying to look like them.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about the music they're putting out at times. It's one of those. We saw Stapleton, Joe's Bar, right, Wes? It was like,
Yeah.
it had to have been also before that, obviously. So
Yeah.
call it 5, 6, 7 years ago. Joe's Bar, if anybody knows, one of the most famous, like country bars in America, in Chicago, and real decent size. So they usually move all the tables out. You just have like everybody in there. There were so few people there that they had the tables still out. So people were just sitting there with their candle on the table, listening to Chris Stapleton. Looking back on that, you're like, Jesus Christ! Like now the guy can do whatever he wants. We saw him headline Tortuga back in the day, laying on the beach, and like we were just like, this is amazing to see this quick thing. But it's just talent, and there's a guy that doesn't move on stage. He's just stationary. You got to be real good. You got to be a George Strait. Never fell off a stage. My favorite, like never. Right. He ain't shake. Sorry, Luke Bryan, but George Strait never fell off a stage.
Right.
Right.
Well, some of the comments though, speaking of Luke Bryan, when I was bringing up the sellout comments, and I mentioned it with American Idol. So Luke Combs was on the other night. I don't watch it, but we post some of the good performances. But
singing your song.
Yeah. Exactly. But when Luke shares the photo, he's like, "Hey, I met another Luke," or whatever. You go through the comments, and it's just like, it's funny. It's like the fandom becomes so like, it's almost political. It's like, you can't like that. No, you can't like that. People that are against Luke Bryan, they see Luke Combs. It's like, but it's like, we met Luke Bryan. He's a super nice guy. We've met a lot of other artists that aren't, that you might like more. So it's just one of those things. It's like, you can like, hey, Luke Bryan, not my style of music, but nice guy.
Yeah.
Here I am with it. It's gotten so, because of social media, I feel like it's gotten so divisive. It's like, you can't do that. It's like, yes, I can. I can say he's nice.
Yeah.
Sure, man.
It's frustrating.
That's what I love about what y'all do is like, I know that like if I read a Whiskey Riff article or whatever, I know I'm reading a very sincere and honest piece. And like when you do not, so when you stray away from what you've always written, then I'm like, okay, well then how do I think about it? But y'all keep the same stance on everything like that you've always had. Like there's no riding the fence. Like you stay you're very consistent is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, we've been honest about some of the like back in the day, we did, like, we were like, oh, do we try to post all of the country news and then make sure we keep telling people, oh, but this is who we actually like. So we just trimmed that. And then it's just, now it's only what we care about, not so much the news of country music overall, because that just becomes so boring and like nobody gives a shit. Yeah. So yeah, that's always been like kind of like a thing for us to kind of, we're fans. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say,
it's like people be like, you call yourselves journalists? No. I built a brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like the fans were like desperate for something that was entertaining, but like also connected on the musical level of, guess what? There's a lot of fans, believe it or not, that love Luke Combs and also love Turnpike Troubadours. There is, and we're proof of that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that crazy.
And we'll tweet out like, hey, what's your dream concert lineup? And like the spectrum of stuff, like pick 3 artists. Yeah. It's insane. You'll see people that'll be like, oh, Eric Church, Turnpike, and Co Wetzel. And it's like, okay, well, that's a huge mix. And then you'll see somebody who will be like, Old Dominion, Luke Bryan, and like Sturgill Simpson, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how are you gonna have those three at the like?
Oh, dude,
it's so wide though, and you're like, people like different things, but I think at the core of it though, it's like, okay, cool.
Authenticity,
cool. Yeah. Like
Riley Green, and like carries like there's those artists that, but it's funny because we talk about. I appreciate what you just said, Drew, and it's funny because a guy was just emailing me nonstop about. I'm not gonna say who it was, but one of these press or whatever companies, and nonstop about this new Florida Georgia Line play or whatever. I ignore the first one. I ignore the second, and I finally get a third one from the same guy. It's clearly he's not just blasting people with a newsletter. It's like he's reaching out to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, finally, I was like, hey, whatever the guy's name is. I was like, you clearly don't pay attention to anything we do. And I sent him a link of when Brian Kelly's wife tried to attack my family personally on Instagram, which was like a big viral story for us. And he just never responded. I just sent him the link. I was like, just so you know, here's this link. Take a read. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Needless to say, we will not be at the.
Here's what I will say though. Do we listen to Florida Georgia Line? No, can't stand the music. Do we listen to Old Dominion? No, can't stand the music. Old Dominion though can take a joke.
Yeah.
Like, so we'll tweet shit during an award show and they'll like it and like laugh or something. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But the Florida Georgia Line thing kind of, Wes made a meme during the political time, and it was just like the music, whatever. And I don't know. It's just funny because those aren't our fans anyways. So it's just funny to kind of push the button for a funny meme that everybody finds funny.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you just.
Dude, it goes back to what we were saying. Like, you can have your opinion about whatever you want, and there's gonna be people. Dude, that's why I'm saying, like, this is what I would say to a new artist too. Like, don't ever chase anything. For one, by the time you get there, it's done.
Definitely don't chase money, because that's gonna fuck everything up, I think.
Right, for sure. But like the fact that you guys have stayed consistent is awesome to me, because I know where you stand on something, you know? And like, it's okay to have your own opinion, because the fans that have the same opinion are going to find what you do. Like, that's why when I make music that I want to make, and make music that I would want to ride around and listen to with my friends. And you know what? I know there are fans out there who are going to like the same thing, but there's also people out there who aren't going to like what I do. But that's okay. I'm not making music for them. I'm making music for myself and for the people who do want to listen to what I make. You know,
yeah, absolutely. Do you listen to your own music? Is that weird?
Do
you like, when you're driving, are you like into it, or if it just comes on the radio?
No, if it comes on radio, it's pretty cool at this point.
Right, yeah.
Where I'm at. I definitely don't get on Spotify and hit shuffle on my own playlist.
Who do you listen to?
You're not Kane Brown doing the voiceover on your own song on Instagram. That's good to know.
I've never done that.
Who do you listen to right now? Like, who are you excited about?
Ooh, man.
Other than yourself.
Like up and coming kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, because I think we know that.
Well, you mentioned Lainey Wilson.
Great
too.
90s stuff, and then
Cameron Marlowe. You know him?
Yep.
Kid's probably one of the best singers I've ever heard in my entire life.
We get a lot of comments for him. We're just now kind of starting to listen.
You should, man. Like, he is probably one of the best singers I've ever heard. Not just saying that. He is incredible. Who else out? Dude, okay, we talked about TikTok. I love getting on TikTok and finding guys who I think are genuine and authentic.
Yeah.
And one day wish that I would in a position to help someone like that. There's this kid, and he don't even have a ton of followers, I don't think. He's getting more and more. But I know I've read your articles, and I've followed you guys.
I'm like, what the hell is he gonna say right now?
I followed you guys for I know that you would love this guy. He's got 35,000 followers. His name is Zach Top.
Okay.
THTOP. Go look him up.
Zach
and
Top.
I don't even know this kid at all. I am giving him a shout out on Whiskey Riff.
Well, the fact that he doesn't have a lot of followers to me is like, that's the perfect start, because usually if it's an artist most people haven't heard of, you're like, hey, they have 800 million followers on TikTok. I'm like, fuck, like this is, like, I don't know what this guy is, what's going on here. So when you say I'm gonna definitely check that out,
dude. So again, I'm a huge Keith Whitley fan. This guy is the closest thing to Keith Whitley I've ever heard.
Is he like a young kid?
Yeah, he's probably.
He looks pretty young.
I don't know. He's probably early 20s. I don't know who he is.
Okay. I mean, I love that. I love the fact that people can use TikTok to kind of, if they're actually serious, use it now to kind of, put their name out there more. I mean, technology changes, whether it's
Right.
in baseball or cyber. Like I just saw this crazy thing on golf. We've been posting about the whole Bryson and Brooks thing. It's like all the technology, like for putting and all this crazy shit. Now the same thing goes for art. Like you guys, a new platform comes along,
Yeah.
big technology,
Right.
utilize it the right way, and don't be theatrical about it. Don't be fake with it, and
For sure, man.
good things will probably happen. I mean, and then there's gonna be something else after that.
Yeah,
Like, there's
absolutely.
gonna be
Absolutely.
another one.
You know, I think the whole gist of this entire conversation is literally be authentic and genuine and stay true to yourself. Say if something is coming from your heart, say it. Like as long as it is something who you are. Like don't, you know,
Yeah.
it's okay to have your own opinion. And it's also okay to let other people have their own opinion too.
You covered "She's Every Woman" by Garth. I saw on TikTok, which was probably my favorite, one of my favorites of his. But we do poke fun at Garth because it's funny. Just the whole thing.
Right.
The whole thing is funny.
Garth's a character.
Have you met Garth?
I have not.
Okay, we can't really.
Can you let us
discuss
know
it.
when you do?
Yeah, I will for sure.
But
Can you ask
people
him
that say
where
he's
the bodies
nice.
are buried?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, there's something so funny to me. Like we'll put the baby down. I said, congrats. You said you have a baby as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
So I had one. He just turned one on my first. So,
Nice.
but we'll put him down for bedtime. And I think around the time Garth will start Studio G or something, if I come back to my desk, I see like a notification, and I'll just sometimes like as I'm working, I'll put it on, and I'm like, here we go, 12 minutes in, Garth's crying. We're crying again. What's he crying about? That's a no profile photo. Jenny76, 12, like 15 numbers on Twitter says, Garth, your music saved me. And he just starts crying. I was like, Garth,
Lock it up.
This is a bot in Bangladesh tweeting at you.
Bangladesh.
Garth he's either truly that emotional or he's so good at crying weirdly. It's just like a talent he has that he just does it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the Chris Gaines thing is coming back, I guess.
Chris
He
Gaines,
said.
man. Have you seen the Chris Gaines documentary?
Me? No, I have not.
Oh, it's on one of those weird video apps like Vimeo or something. Like, check it out. It's fantastic. Raging sex
VH1,
addict.
right?
Yeah, VH1 behind the music. Chris Gaines story. Raging sex addict. Car crashes. Plane crashes. His manager stealing all his money. It's the most amazing.
What's the best line he says about like having sex or whatever?
Well, he gets in this like world life altering car crash, and he's like, I was just worried I was never gonna have sex again.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
And it's funny to me that he's like kind of, I feel like still stubborn about it. He's like, yeah, I might bring it back.
So,
Right?
Like he does, like Garth is a joke.
so let me ask you this: do y'all think that he created this character, or was he asked to play this character?
I mean, I imagine it was one of those things where it was like, I'm like the biggest thing in the world.
Literally
Like,
at the time.
How do I go further? You know?
Because
it's
crazy.
Like, you just like, oh, like, well, what if I create an alter ego that's like a rocker, and we have this crazy like story, and we shoot a documentary, and we make a movie, and we put out an album, and it's like Chris Gaines, rock star, sex addict, car crash survivor. Like, but it's like, and then it's like, well, that's the only way I can get bigger, maybe.
Right.
But then now he comes back, 15 years later after his like hiatus, and he still sells out stadiums. So it's like,
and he sells out like, what
in
was
like
it?
10 minutes.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Was it the football stadium?
Yeah.
Like sold 70,000 tickets in like 3 minutes or something.
Right.
Or something crazy.
He's Garth Brooks, man.
I always tell people that aren't so familiar with country music that I know, there's that stat, right, that he sold more records than like the Beatles, and it's like a crazy number. Even when you put them together, it's like still Garth like outsells a lot of these people from back in the day. And I used to have the DVD. I think it was Central Park, New York show where there's like the helicopter. It's like it was the largest free concert of all time. It was like millions of people there. Literally, I think like 1 million people showed up.
Yeah. No,
I don't know. Can a million people fit in Central Park? Probably.
Probably, yeah.
But it was insanity.
Y'all just gave me a thought. What if in his songs they are buried with subliminal messages and we don't even know it?
Oof.
That sounds very likely.
What if, here's another one. I didn't smoke weed, but this just hit me. What if Chris Gaines is Garth Brooks? Garth Brooks is not trying to be Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines has just always been Garth Brooks.
That's the act.
Garth is the act.
And then Garth is the act. So he's just gonna come back out and we're gonna see Trisha Yearwood baking a casserole, and then Chris Gaines walks in with his feathered bangs and jet black hair.
His eyeliner.
We're gonna be like, oh, what the fuck?
She calls him Chris.
This is like a 25-year project. It's like didn't Joaquin Phoenix do that for that weird movie? Like he went on all these late night shows and acted like he was going crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think if Garth and Trisha get in a fight, she's like, okay, Chris. And then it's like game set match.
He's like, listen, Mrs. Yearwood.
And she's like, Chris, come on.
He calls himself Mr. Yearwood, right?
Yeah. She's the queen.
Dude, so Trisha and my wife are from the same hometown.
Do they know each other? I know they're probably
my wife's family does know Trisha.
Oh, she seems like she'd be a really awesome person, and her show is actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, dude, I'm a huge Trisha Yearwood fan.
X's and O's.
This may get me canceled. I am a bigger Trisha Yearwood fan than a Garth fan.
Ooh, that's not gonna get you canceled. Not here.
Not here.
Uncancelable.
Yeah, big. I mean, Trisha though is one of those ones. She only has like a few big singles, but the ones she has, it's like quality over quantity.
Dude, I mean, they're just classics, man.
Well, here's the great thing too. It's like you can just listen to them. You know, with Garth, I can't go on Spotify. I can't go on Apple Music. I can't go on YouTube. that I feel like my wife would love a lot of Garth songs if she could just listen to them. But I got to buy her a cassette tape and fly out to some place and buy a vinyl and then bring it over and then go to Target and then come home and then reinstall
download Ghost Tunes.
That's the thing which I hate about the industry. Probably every industry that's like entertainment based. It's like Garth is such a massive, legendary star overall. Whoever's around him is probably just going to be like a very like, yes, Garth, yes. It's like, no, you got to tell him that album cover looks ridiculous. You have to tell him that
Man Against Machine was a bad album.
You got to explain that. If you're a writer, please tell me I'm wrong here, but because we've talked to writers that told me that agree with me. I think you know what I'm going to ask.
Man, like I think honestly, for my career, that's my biggest fear, that people, that I'm going to have too many yes men around me that are just like, yeah, that's it. Like if I'm say, yeah, I like that, then everybody's just immediately
right.
So like, say I have successes like, I mean, so I had Homemade, that was my first #1, and then I had this Forever After All song, and now I have my first single go to radio. So like people, I don't want to surround myself with people who are then like every song I write, man, that is a smash. I'm like, if it's not a smash, tell me it's not a smash, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's like, honestly, that is the biggest fear of my entire thing of my career, is that people are just going to say, yeah, man, that's great, you know, or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's not good. Please, dear God, tell me it's not good.
Yeah. Right. So like now too, when you're in a room with Luke Combs and you're writing a song, now that he's a superstar and it's you and him and somebody else, are you like, yeah, Luke, that sounds good. Just hoping you get a cut, or are you a little bit more like,
no?
I mean, I know the answer to that, but
you know, me and him are buddies, so I have no problem telling him something sucks. Also, he has no problem telling me that something sucks as well. So
yeah, absolutely, right on. I knew the answer to that asking it, but I just wanted to hear you say it.
No.
Well, Drew, it was a lot of fun. The video's coming out tomorrow. You said new video.
Yeah.
The EP came out last year. Anything for the fans coming out soon? New stuff or?
Dude, looking to go into the studio here before too long, and hope to sneak a song out before the end of the year. I hope. So I'm excited to get back out and play shows. Can't wait to meet all the fans and see all the new fans that we've made since we put out this music. And just want to say thank you to you guys for what you do for up and coming artists. You guys have written some articles about my music as well, so I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, y'all wrote an article about, or somebody did, and you guys posted it about a song called House Band on my EP. That's one of my most favorite songs I've ever written.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of that song, and the fact that you guys posted about it, I appreciate that because that song means a lot to me. It's one of those that I wanted to do my best to tip my cap to the guys who wrote the really, really good songs of the '90s.
Yeah.
That's as good as I can get,
Mhm.
and so I appreciate you guys shouting that one out for me.
Well, yeah, man, we
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
that, and hopefully soon we can have some beers in person and had a lot of fun.
Absolutely, for sure.